This is an interview with Harold Emlaw, the anchor drop in Ogdensburg, New York, 24th of April 2003, approximately 2:15 p.m. Interviewers are Mike Russert, Wayne Clark. Could you give me your full name, date of birth, and place of birth, please?
Yes. Harold Paul Emlaw, born September 14th, 1925, Norfolk, New York.
Okay, what was your education prior to entering military service?
11th grade.
Okay. Where were you and what do you remember when you heard about Pearl Harbor?
I was 15 at the time, and I was working in a service station in Messina. And I worked there when school was out. This was, of course, Sunday. And somebody come in and said, Pearl Harbor's been attacked. And, of course, that didn't mean nothing to me. I didn't know anything about Pearl Harbor, so... And then, of course, probably I got to thinking about it more because people would come in and start talking about it. But still, it didn't sink in much at the time.
Mm-hmm. Did you enlist or were you drafted?
I enlisted.
Okay. Do you know why you picked the Navy?
Well, probably because my brother was in the Navy, and we was brought up on a river there in home, and we was always swimming all summer long. Of course, I liked the water.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Had you ever been on ships before? Or?
No, I hadn't, more in a rowboat.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Why don't you tell us from when you started in service until you left, where did you go for your basic and so on?
I went to Albany to have my physical from Norfolk. From there they went over to Sampson, and I was went on active duty, or what I want to say, September 14th, 1943 is when I was sworn in. Mm-hmm. And I've spent 8 weeks there. And from there, they shipped me to Chicago, Illinois for diesel school. And I think I was there probably the same amount of time, 8 weeks. And I might say, add that I don't think I hit a better Liberty town in Chicago. Man, that was a super place for us guys. We lived on Navy Pier, which is still there. Mm-hmm. And when I got down there...
Why did you like Chicago so much?
Well, all the time there's something coming over the PX. So many sailors, they wanted to this house for, well, especially on a weekend for a Sunday dinner, and so many here for a party, and I took in a few of them. Yeah, it was great. They couldn't... And of course, Illinois, if I remember the time, you couldn't drink unless you was 21, but I was, 18 when I got there, and then didn't matter where you went in, they'd serve you. Yeah, of course I wasn't a heavy drinker, but I liked the beer. And I met a girl there too, of course. They always said sailor girl never pour it, so. Which I liked very much at the time. And from there, I went to advanced diesel school at Dearborn, the River Rouge plant, Ford plant there. For that, I think that was another 8 weeks, diesel. And when I got done there, of course I went home on leave, I think 7 days. Might have been when I met my brother. And from there, I was assigned to a crew. Went down to Solomons, Maryland, for training on the LCIL. And we trained there, I don't know how long it was. It wasn't too long, maybe. You'd beach, it was a landing craft. Mm-hmm. And from there, they shipped the crew. I think there was 22 of us and 3 officers. We went to Barber, New Jersey, and picked up a new one, LCIL 602. And we, I can remember, just if it was yesterday, we went from Barber up to Pier 92. And as we was going in, I guess we had a lot of 2 or 3 civilian workers aboard. And of course, I was in the engine room, and we had this civilian down there breaking us in on the stuff, although we'd been trained. And the skipper was going a little too fast, and he was a JG, and he hit the pier, put a hole in the front. And if I remember correctly, he was trying to blame the engine room boys. There was only 2 of us plus this civilian. And he got us out of that. But in other words, we didn't move fast enough to get her in astern and back her down. But they put a hole in, not too bad, and they had somebody up with a patch, and they welded it on. And from there, we went back to Solomons. My mind's gone too. So then we went to Virginia, and we, the hell's that beach there? Nice beach. Well, that's what we trained on that for 2-3 weeks. We'd make landings and back off and make landings. And from there, we went to Panama, went through the Panama Canal up to San Diego, and done a little training there. And from San Diego, we went to Pearl Harbor. And that was something. When I first went into Pearl Harbor, we were going by, and there was Oklahoma. It was just a shell that was left of it, tied up there. And of course, I'd never been in a place like that, and it was something you never forget. We got off and went into Honolulu for a little like liberty. And I remember going by the pineapple place. Was it Dole?
Dole,
yeah. Yeah, big old sign there, shaped like a pineapple. Things like that you didn't forget, and I remember that. And then when you got in town, sailors, marine, soldiers, Barton. It's hard to get around. It's just bad. Try to get in and get a beer or something. And the houses, I had this too. The houses, the year we moved, they was still legal in town, and the lines was pretty long there. But well, we went from there. Pearl Harbor. We went to. Well, we fooled around there a while, different islands. And then we went to Kwajalein, Marshall Islands. Of course, these places was all secured then. So. Mm-hmm. And then Kwajalein, we went to Anahuac. Anahuac, we went to Elithia Atoll, which is in the Carolina Islands. And they had a little island there named Mogmog. And this was in there was a big lagoon where I'm sure I've seen the 5th and 3rd Fleet in there all at once, because all you could see is carriers and big ships. And what our duty was for 6 months is in the morning we take off a bunch of sailors from one ship, take them into this island. You got 2 cans of beer and a place, a little relaxation. And we take them back and bring another batch from that same ship in the afternoon to the same island. And then the next day...
How many of these men could you carry at a time in your ship?
Well, something like that, you could carry 200 easy on deck, yeah. And, well, these are some of the ships we serviced, the Nevada, New Mexico, Tennessee, North Carolina, South Dakota, Massachusetts, Iowa, New Jersey, Missouri, Wisconsin. Then we had 10 heavy cruisers, 5 light cruisers, aircraft carriers, the Enterprise, Essex, Intrepid, Randolph, Lexington. And we had some escort carriers, a couple of them, small carriers, some destroyers, and some miscellaneous ships. And that was 6 months, that's all we done. Take them boys in, take them back, we'll get about a bunch. And from there, Elithia, we went down to Leyte, down to the Philippines. And of course, that had been secure. And then from there, we went up to Guam. Guam, we went back to Anahuac. From there, we went back to Kwajalein. And Kwajalein, we went to Wake Island. And at that time, the war was over. It finished. Because we was the first bunch, there was, 3 of us, LCIs, that went in there to Wake Island. And our duties would get all the guns and ammunition that we could carry, put on the back of our little ship, and take it out. We dump them over the side. And the captain says we could save 1 gun if anybody wanted one. So I saved a Japanese 31 caliber. And it's on the wall in the Legion in Norfolk. Yeah, that was the sword. And yeah, the war was over. That was August. From there, we went back to Kwajalein.
Now, you said earlier you were at Okinawa.
Yeah, I'm going to go there, yeah. Then we went there, back to Kwajalein, Anahuac, we went to Okinawa. And that's when, I didn't have any dates, but that's when the typhoon was on.
Now, you were still in the LCI?
Yeah.
What was that like in the
Oh my
typhoon?
God.
That must have been...
Just like a cork. She'd come up on them waves and come down and slap. And of course, I was an engineman. and one of our engines went out. We had 4 engines back to back, with 2 screws, 4 engines back to back on the left and 4 engines back to back on the right. And one of the engines blew a piston, and the skipper says, you got to get down and get underneath that and get that piston out and change it, which we did. And boys, that was a son of a gun. Of course, a young man didn't think much of it, I guess, but you couldn't eat. The cook tried to make you a sandwich. It was really something. Yeah. And from there we went back to the Philippines. And from the Philippines we went to French Indochina, Haiphong. And what we done there, the Chinese was having trouble at the time, is we take the Chinese soldiers off the beach, and we take them out to larger ships, and I understood that they took them to Formosa. That's what I read later. And they was an awful looking bunch of soldiers, but I guess we was lucky. From there,
What way were they?
dressed and shoes and well, they didn't have nothing. Yeah. Well, I don't know how long we done that. Quite a while. Give a ride out to the larger ships. And of course, this is when the war was over for us. And from there, we went back to Subic Bay and back to Guam and come back to the States and went back through the Panama Canal and went into Charleston, and that's where they decommissioned it. And when I got in there, I had enough points like my brother, and I got off and they shipped me back to Lido Beach.
Now, what was your reaction when you heard about the death of President Roosevelt?
I was very sad. I don't know as I might have cried.
How about when you heard about the atomic bombs being dropped on Japan?
I was pretty happy about that. Talk about Roosevelt, I'd break down now. Yeah. And today I'm a Republican. Yeah. We found all of that bad. But yes, I heard of the atomic bomb. Of course, I was over in the Philippines someplace when that happened, and knew our attendance war was going to be much longer. So, but I think at the time there was talk. We went back to Anahuac, Anahuac. They was going to put some different guns on our vessel for an invasion. That was the talk, and that's where we was when come and think about it now. That's where we were when it came over that our president died.
Now where did you discharge?
At Lido Beach,
Okay.
Long Island.
How'd you get home?
I got on a Trailway bus, and they were into Messina, New York. When I got off, that's 12 miles from my place, Norfolk. And I got right out on the road and started bumming. The guy picked me up. He took me right home. Yeah, I can still remember now going in the door, and then my mother. I don't know if I let her know. I'm what you call chicken, aren't you?
No.
Yeah, and the girl I married, of course, I'd known her all my life. Went to school together, church together. And mother says, they had a little store down. My mother says, you want to walk with me down to the store? I said, sure. So I walked with her, and there we went by this girl's house. She was out raking. Her name was Frances Packard. Her and her mother was out raking, and right then I said, would you like to go out tonight? I still have her. Yeah, I still have her. We ended up with 6 children. Yeah.
How long have you been married?
Pardon me?
How long have you been married?
We married in 46. That's what, 57 years this year. Yeah.
Now you went back in for Korea?
Yes, I did. Yeah,
Now, were you in the reserves? Or?
I wasn't. A good friend of mine that was on ship with me, he lived in Albuquerque. Well, he's going to school in Albuquerque. And we kept in touch, and he says, come on out. I was working in the garage in Potsdam. I stuck with mechanical business. And he says, come on out. A lot of work out here. So I got a new vehicle. I worked at the Chevrolet place, and we had a new trailer. We hooked a house trailer. We hooked it on. We went to Albuquerque. And it wasn't, I had 2 children. And things wasn't that good there, so I liked the Navy. I sure loved it. So I went to the Navy reserves there, and I says I'd like to go. The Korean War was on. I says I'd like to get in the reserves, and I says I want active duty. Okay, so it wasn't too long. I got orders to report out to Treasure Island, California. So I went out there, with the family, and got a trailer park, set them down, and then I went back in. And they flew me to Sasebo, Japan. And I went aboard the
Bradley?
No, yeah, that's right. I'm talking Korean War. Yes, the Bradford. That was a DD 545 destroyer. And when they was ready, you go over there 6 months and back to the States 6 months. And I no more than got there, and they was going to start back, so we could ride back to San Diego. And I got back there and I got my family. She was up to living up in San Leandro, up north, so I went and got them and moved them down to San Diego, brought the trailer. And my younger boy, he was 3, and the girl was the oldest, she was 5, I guess, developed leukemia. And we lost him 6 months. So, in the meantime, I went to the backboard ship, and I says, you got to transfer me, because they was going to go back. I says, my boy's in bad shape in hospital, so they put me on the USS Piedmont. It was a destroyer repair ship. And my boy passed away, of course, there, and we brought him back home, buried him. And I went back, and we went, the Piedmont sailed back to Japan. But I was only in 15 months. But the idea of going back, I was going to stay, but if I could have stayed in the States with my family, or having the family with them, I would have stayed in. Because I was a first class petty officer at the time, and I was doing pretty well, I thought. And I liked it. I loved the Navy. But I got out. And I come right back home, and went back to the Chevrolet garage. I stayed there. And then my dad worked there too, and we opened our own business a little later, I think 62, 61. Yeah. And I have boys that still run it. Yeah.
Okay, did you make use of the GI Bill at all?
Yes, I did. I took up a mechanical business, GI Bill, yeah.
How about the 5220 Club?
I was in that for probably a month, because when I went in, I was working the Alcoa plant, reaming plant in Messina. And I thought I was going to take it easy, so I went on 5220. But then I says, well, I'll go back to the plant, and I went back, and then the GI Bill come up, and I says, well, if I can make if I can use these hands and make $1 for Alcoa, I think I can make a couple dollars for myself. So I got out and went to work at the Craig Chevrolet Company in Potsdam. They're out of business now on the GI Bill, and they used me well. Yeah, and stayed there till they went out of business. And my dad and I went to business together then.
Did you ever stay in touch with anyone that you
Just the same fella, Jim Warren. and he lives in Phoenix now. And, well, I don't know, 6, 7 years ago, when we had our motor home, we drove out and spent a little time with him, yeah. And another fellow I received, got a call from him one day, or a letter, Joe Moore, he was from Norfolk, Virginia, wanting me to put out an affidavit that he hurt his leg. Well, I was on a 20 millimeter gun during my general quarters. And it did happen. One of the cartridges, or the container that holds the cartridges, hit him in the leg, and he had a bad leg, and he wanted to get verification of that. So. And then I had another one, a boatswain mate. He was from Chicago. This was a few years later. I wanted an affidavit. I don't remember what it was. Something that happened to him on ship. But his time, it's hard to remember all them things, but I sent him an affidavit that I see it happen, I guess. I might have lied, I don't know. It'd be under the GI Bill, yeah, or VA, I should say, yeah. But I've been lucky, very lucky. Like I say, I still think of the Navy. I mean, on that small ship, it was a nice duty. We had a JG. He was a Jewish fellow, the captain, and you couldn't ask for a better guy, like my brother.
How would you say your time in service affected your life? Do you think it did at all?
Yeah, it did. It did a lot for me. Yeah, grew up. I remember when I went down that first night down at the boot camps in Sampson. Boys just like going from day to night.
Had you ever been away from home much?
No. I'd never been in the city. The biggest city I'd been in was Watertown when I went to sign up for the Navy. Never been away. No, it's altogether different to me. But when I went into boot camp that first night, I was ready to go home. But now, there's a museum down there, and they have an association, and I belong to Color Guard.
Okay.
We're down there in March, Memorial Day. Still hold it on the 30th.
Besides that, do you belong to any other organizations, like the American Legion, or?
I belong to American Legion. That's only a veterans organization, but I belong to other things too. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much.
You're entirely welcome.